In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no doctrine! Hunger no get religion!
And scan the human interest and trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues on Voice of the People Television. Don't just react, understand. Well, thank you very much for joining us. This is Newspaper Review, and it's a full house. I am Moses Humphrey. Jane Ogoye, very much in the building. Chukwuma Okoro here as well. And we're being joined by Dele Fanimo and Barrister Eze Eluchi. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining the conversation. Now, let's dive into it very quickly. Looking at the papers, making sense of it all. From the Guardian newspaper, these are the headlines. Kano governor, deputy part ways over defection. There you go. The Kwankwansiya movement and Gandujiya movement. Alleged 110.4 billion naira fraud. EFCC tenders fresh bank records against Yahaya Bello. Others. More banks meet recapitalization threshold as tally exceeds 20. And the big story, how 300% costs spike, drug rationing turn diabetes to death threat. That's the big story on the cover pages of the Daily. And they have a breakdown here. Over 11.4 million Nigerians are diagnosed battling diabetes. Diabetes contributes to over 3.4 million deaths yearly, with more than half of the population without access to medication. International Diabetes Federation, IDF, projects the epidemic to reach 853 million by 2050. 75% of diabetes sufferers live in low and middle income countries. Only a third of those diagnosed receive proper treatment. 34.5% of patients with diabetic foot ulcers lose legs in Nigeria, compared to 0.1% overseas. Diabetes kills about 30,000 to 40,000 Nigerians yearly. that's quite the figure. Quite the figure. Shouldn't we all be gone by then? Cost of medication spiked between 300 to 500% in 3 years. All right, so that's the headline there. And then, of course, when you flip, you go. Now, let's start with that one. Let's move away from politics and all of that. We'll get back to that in the course of the program. Let's talk about this diabetes treatment. You've seen the figures. Do you approve some of these figures? 30,000 to 40,000 yearly from diabetes. Nigerians die. I don't know. Looks a little overstretched, if you ask me. But the fact remains that these things exist. That diabetes is a problem, and a lot of it comes from what we consume. We consume a lot of lifestyle choices. What we consume, alcohol, beverages. A lot of them contain excess sugar. We give our children some of these fizzle drinks and the rest of them. And we know that the sugar content in these things are higher in Nigeria than they are overseas, for the same drink, So what's your reaction to this story?
Thank you. I have some expertise in global health law. And yes, the scam in global health law is mind-boggling.
The scam in
global health issues is mind-boggling. Why do I say this? Diabetes. You ask yourself, why is a country like the United States pulling out of WHO? Because these organizations, they force countries to use a particular trend of treatment or trend of drugs, not even your indigenous facilities. For diabetes, there is insulin. You ask yourself, are there native or domestic alternatives to insulin? Do we have herbs locally that could have addressed the issue that diabetes represents? I mean, so when you understand these basics, you now begin to approach these figures and then begin to wonder, do we have that problem? I mean, diabetes is something. We have the problem. I know we don't have that problem. Why I say I know we don't have that problem is in our local herbs, in the local alternatives we have solutions to diabetes, but it is downplayed even in our health system. In China, for instance, they have both the alternatives and the orthodox, so that you have options, and then it's in the same system, in the same healthcare system. But in Nigeria, we totally rubbish our domestics, totally rubbish our traditional values, and this is the values that have helped, have sustained our forebears for centuries. There has been no effort at experimenting on those or trying to do some research to highlight the potentials, which are self-evident. But we only say insulin. That research you're talking about was maybe based on how many people report for in hospitals. My dear, there are treatments for these things. And I'm using diabetes as an example. Same applies to even high blood pressure, to whatsoever you have. But because of the system we entrap and enslave ourselves into, we are only fixated with WHO standards, how much insulin is available in the society. Who cares for insulin when you can have local alternatives?
But yes. These local alternatives, how precious are they?
Or they are, I mean, I am a beneficiary of it. Let me give an example. My spouse was bitten by a snake. Yeah, we had alternatives. We could have gone to the general hospital and done all that stuff. But guess what we did? In the village, we just went to the local treatment center. She drank a concoction, and that was the end of it. In fact, that happened when a similar snake bite cost about $44,000 to treat in the US. And I wrote an article on it. So even the so-called $1 per day nonsense, which is projected, is not proper, because it costs me less than 500 naira to treat snake bite. So it is efficacious. Do we have a system that researches into it and brings out the cure? Or do we depend on WHO and these international mechanisms that tell us that our malaria tablets must be produced abroad, that we must hang on to them?
Now, you're seated next to a man who is married to a nurse. And who will decide?
We are together. My wife is a nurse also. Yes, she's a nurse also. Okay. So that's the reality.
You see, I totally agree with Barrister on this. There is so much conspiracy.
Will your wife agree?
Global conspiracy.
Our wives agree.
Look, do you know that most of these drugs that carry expiry dates, they are still potent years after they are supposed to be an expired drug? Because of marketing strategy, they put expiry on them. This was not as a result of I read. I was in a pharmaceutical company in Bangladesh in 2019. And I asked these questions, and they told me that if expiry date is not written in these drugs, how will people go for the ones that are still new? So that's one conspiracy. Then the second conspiracy is, you see, these days I'm getting scared of what I read in the papers.
Before we misinform the public,
sponsored.
That is not to say that some drugs.
I know that some carry expiry dates and
they get expired.
If you
consume them, you can get yourself into trouble.
You know, at least
I just wanted us
for
to
the national
before somebody will say,
for the space we are in.
This drug is expiring tomorrow.
But do you know that generally, if a dog expires today, you can still
for 3 months.
For 3 months, you can still go and use it.
Yes.
Now, on this issue of diabetes,
I don't know about drugs. I know about food.
Even drugs.
Okay.
Do you know that some of these diabetes patients, some of them, they don't even know they have diabetes. until when it is too late. So when you now capture them and then they use drug for about a month or two and they still die, but you want to blame. But the point is, it is advisable.
Early detection.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is advisable you check your vitals. And it is so easy these days. If you have your glucometer, you can check your.
But Dele, don't you think that there's a lot of misinformation and myths around diabetes in Nigeria? Because, I mean, when you speak to the ordinary man, most people would think or say that, oh, it's until you eat sugar.
No,
some people don't know that there are other risk factors for diabetes. And you know that the end product of most of our foods here in Nigeria is starch, sugar. But some people think that it's until you consume maybe so much sugar directly. Some people don't even know that alcohol also, it's part of this. And there are also things around the sedentary lifestyle and all of that.
You see a lot of factors.
Let me just land so I don't forget my train of thought. What I wanted to just add now is that while we are advocating for maybe some inclusion of the local herbs, because I know it does work, and the English orthodox, we should also have more on quality lifestyle prevention, because a lot of Nigerians are actually they have diabetes, but they don't know. In fact, 2 days ago sorry, I'm taking your time. 2 days ago on estate WhatsApp, they dropped a message that one of the security men, his legs has been amputated because he had diabetes. And this is a man I see every day. So that's to tell you that a lot of people wait or don't know. You talked about the glucometer, but how many people even know about that?
Look, the same person that would not want to touch glucometer will sit in a restaurant with his girlfriend and consume like 20,000 naira worth of food alone without drinks. Whereas glucometer is about 18,000. And it could last you for years. As I'm speaking, I have one. I don't have diabetes. It's inside my car. I move about with it. Then you also have Sphinx to determine your blood pressure. I have it in my car, in spite of the fact that my wife is a nurse. You understand? But the point is, there should be awareness.
Yes.
This is where I want to link corruption to health problems. Yeah. It is at the primary level of health care, at the local government, primary health centers and all that are the closest to the people, that there should be awareness, constant awareness, that look, the fact that you wake up in the morning whole and you can move your legs and your hands does not mean you are healthy. Find out if actually you are healthy or not. Do you know that some people, even when they are told they have these diseases, they wish it away. They go to prayer mountain.
It's my enemy that has it.
That's right.
I know of a cousin who had cancer of the breast, and her own sibling is a medical doctor of repute. She hid this cancer until it got to stage 3, and she was on mountain top praying. When she was rushed down from the mountain top, it was too late. She died. That was a needless death. And it cuts across everywhere.
Yes.
So awareness is first.
Awareness.
Then agreeing that you have it is second. I don't think there's any stigma if you have a diabetes. In fact, the one I have is even more dangerous than the diabetes.
Don't worry.
I know what we can share it.
You don't need to say it.
No, we can share it for people to know.
Okay.
Do you know that if you have low blood sugar, it's more dangerous than when you have high level sugar in your system?
Okay.
So if I didn't test, there was a day I ate sugar and drank Coke in the night. The following day, I went to one of the barracks to go and check my vitals. I forgot that I drank sugar and Coke. It notched up to 140. The next thing, that doctor didn't ask me questions. He just placed me on diabetes drug. If I was a novice, I would have started that regime and I would have died in less than 3 months.
Because
Because it will drop further.
Yes, because you actually
So
have
I had to
no-
go to the commander of that barracks, who is my friend, that how did you employ this doctor? Look at what he did. Because the next thing should have been, why did
What's-
this spike
what's-
to
what's
this?
your history?
What's your medical history and all that?
Have you been diagnosed before?
Exactly. So by the time I went to check the following day, on the instruction of the commander, I discovered that I was below 70, which is the minimum threshold. So imagine if I had started that drug, it could have been maybe 35 or 30. And then the organs will start shutting down gradually, and that will be the end. And then they will say that village man has gotten daily.
Oh well, it's a serious issue. Even though these figures might be exaggerated, but we know that what we consume, we should watch what we consume. A lot of our young men take a lot of.
One other thing is, not even
beverage.
alcoholic drink is the problem. This energy drink.
Yes.
Energy drinks, of course. A lot of.
You live sedentary life and you are drinking energy drink that is suffused with more than enough sugar, and you are supposed to drink just one in a day.
You're not even supposed to take it.
I said, if you are an athlete, you can take one. But now somebody who lives the sedentary life, he now takes about 3 bottles. In fact, if he doesn't mix it with alcoholic drink, he's not enjoying his life.
I think the operational word there we should focus on more is also lifestyle.
Yes.
Yeah,
Because lifestyle contributes a lot.
a lot. Some of these
And
health
we want
issues.
government to research into the alternatives.
Yes, and
Yes.
the
Yes,
government
of
is
course.
researching
Yes,
the
yes.
alternative. Because when I talk about lifestyle, you see people, lifestyle, maybe because of what we eat, how we sleep, when we sleep, how we exercise and all of those. You see people sit down in one place and drink 7 or 8 bottles of beer. Because I have a friend, the wife works out in the morning. The woman will go work out in the morning, jog, and, she wants to keep fit, lose weight. And when she comes back, she will fry 4 eggs. Fry 4 eggs, put them on bread and butter, margarine and butter and all of that. And eat it with one bottle of milk, one tin of milk. So
So replacing the calories. The calories
so it's
lost.
all about lifestyle.
Plus minus.
Lifestyle. So,
Oh well, let's move on to other conversations now. Now, there's this headline here from the Punch says, counterinsurgency campaigns. U.S. votes $413 million for security operations in Nigeria. Others. The rider, 2026 Fiscal Act backs African Bureau as U.S. AFRICOM tracks Russia's military ambition. Now, if you want to relate that headline to another one here that says U.S. sanctions, foreign airlines battle drop in passenger traffic. U.S. sanctions, foreign airlines battle drop in passenger traffic. Yes, of course. So these are some of the headlines. I'd like your reaction to it. Barrister is on the chair.
Well, in military circles, when you say $430 million, that could be the cost of 2-3 missiles. So, I mean, you put it in proper context. I mean, what are they being supplying? Because when they mention all these figures, one jet could approach that amount. So and when the US does stuff now, you just have to also wonder what is the whole objective? What are they expecting in return? And are they just coming in because they fear Russia or Chinese involvement? So, I mean, we should begin to look at our own national interests more. And then no matter how much supplies you get from the US or from wheresoever, once you have poor leadership, once you have unpatriotic security personnel, these same weapons will end up in the hands of the insurgents. I mean, that has been the experience. That's why when you watch the videos of ISWAP or Boko Haram, you see them in cars, vehicles, military gadgets that ought to belong to our soldiers.
The state.
Yeah, the state. And then the soldiers now have to be running on foot. Or the tires they have are not the bulletproof stuff that can withstand the pressure. So these supplies, we'll be hearing to Kano.
I'm sorry, Barrister. This is outrightly not supplies. I'm talking about supplies. They are talking about security operations in Nigeria. What the United States government itself has budgeted set aside for their own operations in Nigeria.
In Africa, not even Nigeria.
In Africa, Nigeria part of it.
Yes.
But unfortunately, Nigeria gets nested, with countries like any place you now see visa restriction, countries listed. You see Nigeria, you see Afghanistan, you see Yemen, you see Iran.
You don't blame them.
You don't blame them, but that is how low we have gone as a people, as a country. So when I read this news, my thought was that because I couldn't wrap it around my head that we are spending like $9 million. We are going to spend $9 million for 1 year, 12 months to be very precise, and $750,000 a piece. That's a month. To lobby within the Capitol, within the foggy bottom, to burnish our image. So apparently, it looks like it's not working because America is not backing out. They are not backing down. They understand that there is a problem here. And when they say like, wherever America goes to, I understand that they are economic interests, but they also, it's part of their national security strategy to ensure that rogue states don't harbor terrorists that could cause damage
to the American interest.
To the American interest, especially after the 9/11 incident.
Yes.
They discovered that because there were lots of ungoverned spaces in places like Afghanistan. They considered Iraq because apparently Saddam Hussein himself had used biological weapons against his own people, and they were trying to create a nexus between the terrorists and Saddam Hussein, even Assad in Syria. So that is why in Yemen they are also said, look, we need to push back on all of these things. So if we have America characterizing Nigeria as a flash insecurity or a security flashpoint in the global space, then it becomes worrisome because they are not about to. If they don't come in terms of bombs and all of that, they will keep monitoring Nigeria to ensure that, look, this space remains safe. They keep going back to Abu Mutalab issue. It is very concerning to them that Nigeria wanted to, dismember the airplane in Detroit, United States of America, and it will have cost, and that was few years after the 9/11. So it's very instructive for them. You have died. So it's very instructive for United States of America. Our government should better watch it.
No, but you see, the reality is that this America will always want to protect itself. Yes. So if we have a system that people who don't have known dates of birth, known schools attended, known parentage, rise up to become the president of the country, why do you bother? I mean, America has to do whatever. Because if your president is of that pedigree, they don't know who else is. And that they don't. When I claim I'm Eze Luche, they're not Shemusha Eze Luche. So that is, we have to get our acts together. We have to get our acts right in Nigeria to be able to now be a meaningful part of the international community. And for now, under this dispensation, we are unfortunately far away from it. Nigeria can, if you like, spend $9 billion on PR. The basics are there. And you see, when you spend this much on PR, you forget that this American, they also have an embassy in Nigeria. They have people who are ready to supply them with information. And they have also access to information also. So the amount of being spent on PR, ask yourself, who is being paid? Who got the kickback? How much will eventually get to the person who is being paid? So we have to decide by ourselves, what do we want of this country? Do we want to be in this denigrate state which the world has placed us, which we have placed ourselves for the world to assess us? So Nigerians have to, and we have an opportunity, like I keep on saying, and the opportunity is at the next elections, we should make sure we get our acts together. You see, you can never divorce what's happening to Nigeria from the leadership, from the crop of characters who are ruling over us. Once you have sane rulers at the top, things will fall in place. But so long as we have characters who travel abroad when there is Armistice Day, or when there is Remembrance Day, characters who spend 17 trillion on pipeline protection, when the average Nigerian is not even protected, we'll keep on having this problem.
But we keep talking about the leadership and the people at the top, and we forget that there's a trickle effect. It still boils down to the followership. Who puts this leadership in power? Do you think Nigerians are, because I keep asking anyone who cares to listen, do you think Nigerians are really ready for a change? Do you think in the next elections, Nigerians are ready to actually vote right and not even sell their votes?
Nigerians have always been ready for change. They show it by their votes. But what happens in Nigeria is that usually the electoral officers, the judiciary, the security model it up. But hopefully Nigerians will now realize that, look, there is no need to say, let us not go and die. Because we've been dying gradually for the past 2 years. So when next you vote, let it be enough is enough. And let it be that should be where, let your votes count. Irrespective of whoever you elect, let the person rule. And not just allow some members of the judiciary, some servicemen, some policemen to truncate the process. If they do, truncate them. Because if you don't truncate those who want to truncate Nigeria, we will continue to be. In fact, there will be a time when Benin will even ask us to deposit $1 billion before we can cross into Benin Republic at the current strength. Now the US is saying between $5,000 and $15,000, but gradually it will increase because we have proved to be ourselves to be a pariah state. We have allowed, we are more like a kakistocracy. When characters who don't have any business in governance are the ones ruling us. And until we put a stop to that, they will always view Nigerians from the prison of those who are fronting as leaders in this country. And that's very, very sad.
Very sad indeed. J.D. Fanima, you want to have a shot at that? All right then. Well, let's go to another headline here. Atiku's son dumps PDP for APC. Back Tinubu's second term. What say ye? Well, let's see if there's a writer to that story. No. What say ye? That's from the Guardian newspaper.
What political strength does he have to stir the honestness?
He's Atiku's son.
He's Atiku's son. That should count for something.
He's an adult.
He's an Atiku's son.
He's an adult, and
No, he's Atiku's
so
son.
he can choose to belong to.
And the father said, well, he's entitled to his choice.
He's entitled to his choice. What's the force about it?
You don't think that would dissuade some people that are supporting Atiku? Say, if your son is even backing this man against you, maybe we should also look the other way.
It's a phenomenon that happens around me in my state, Ondo State. Your father may go this way, you tell him that this is the way I want to go.
For political reasons.
For political reasons.
Okay, so this one, do you think is political?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do in the APC. Maybe they will not allow him to ventilate his political ideology in PDP where his father is, or the father may be in ADC where his father looms large. So you might think that if they want to use him in APC, it's good for APC for the optics. Maybe. Well, but for me, he's an adult. He can go to anywhere.
We had a similar situation. That was in was it pre-independence or in First Republic, where we had a SGE Kuku run against his father, and the young man won. Mm-hmm. The young man beat his father to it, and he became our representative. So these things happen from time to time. But I think Moses asked, or who asked the question, what political value does Atiku's son bring? Yeah, you were the one that asked that question. And I said that he's the former vice president's son. So when you ask now, El-Rufai, his son has been a man about time, saying everything, in fact, insulting ministers and including the president, serving people in government. When I say insult, I mean that he's using making uncomplimentary remarks about him, especially when they are not proven, So, and people embrace him. He's El-Rufai's son. So that is the kind of newsmakers that we have. That's the kind of newsmaker. So when I asked someone, it was yesterday I asked Moses. Now I was looking for topics for the evening show, and I asked Moses, Dele Momodu has joined ADC. Dele Momodu has joined ADC. And he asked me, who is Dele Momodu? In terms of the political value he's bringing. But this morning, radio stations were discussing Dele Momodu because as a former presidential candidate, he carries some form of political weight. Moses still not agreeing with me. He carries some form of political weight. But I think the lesson in it for me is that, look, people should be allowed, to make their choices. Irrespective of family, ethnic, tribal affiliation.
All right.
People should.
My take on this is like Dele asked, who is he? I mean, and we should learn to divorce the Nigerian political thinking from these father, mother, sister, brother stuff. What value has he contributed to the society before? Who knew him before? Or is it just that by virtue of being Atiku's son, he becomes an issue? I mean, has he ever contested for any vote? Has he ever done anything in the public domain to even warrant being discussed?
But Barry said it happened even in the United States where you studied. It happens. Mm-hmm. We had the Bush family, we had Jeff, we had George, and their father.
No, they all had pedigree. They all had antecedents. Now, this one now, it's only antecedents because he was signed by.
Maybe he wants to start.
Okay, let him start. But when he starts, we don't know where he's starting. But I think this character should not be the topic. We have more pertinent issues that we should talk about. Not
okay. I don't know if you consider this a pertinent issue, but alleged 110.4 billion naira fraud. EFCC tenders fresh bank records against Yahya Bello and others. Meanwhile, we hear that he's already planning his way to get into the Senate.
My worry with all these EFCC cases and that dates back from the time of Nuhu Ribadu, is that they are always very shoddily prepared, and the lawyers that benefit from them, like even the current Minister of Aviation, you prosecute billions of dollars, at the end of the day, nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's a total waste. Even the money paid to the lawyers are wasted, because at the end of the day, nothing happens. They walk home free. So that's why some of us have always advocated that the EFCC should be scrapped. Because if you look at it, place it with its what outcomes, meaningless. And I can assure you, at the end of the day, this character, former Kogi governor, who is still gallivanting about displaying the lucre he has amassed, will go scot-free. So the system has been such that we do not actually penalize graft. We don't penalize criminals. We rather reward them with more appointments. And at the end of the day, it only encourages more graft. I mean, we should have a system that when you have large-scale criminality, which some of us say is actually a crime against humanity, there should be a special provision, special tribunals, and there must be more stringent punishment. There was a case where EFCC prosecuted somebody in Enugu State, for the former governor of Enugu State, Chimaroke Naman. Okay. He was alleged to have stolen over 3 billion, and he was asked to pay 3 million. And guess what happened? He paid it from the pocket and walked out of court.
Former governor of Edo State.
Igbenedion. Yes. He was being prosecuted for 3 billion.
His driver went to his car booth and brought out 3.5.
Yes, the court fined him for 3 million, and he paid cash and walked away. So all this nonsense we do in the name of judiciary or prosecutions, we must stop it. Otherwise, we are faced with a continuous slide down the abyss.
That was a young man. The mother said that if you fail a class,
you want to repeat.
Okay, but you said something about having to scrap EFCC.
Yes.
Recommending for it to be scrapped.
Yes.
And I asked, will it be better to? Now we know that the EFCC is supervised by the Attorney General and Minister of Justice in the Federation. That's a constitutional provision.
Yes.
I want us to draw historical examples. At a point, Nigeria is at the level where Singapore was, and their own that they even inherited their own corruption from the colonial days. The colony itself was highly corrupt, very well corrupted. Now, when Lee became the prime minister, he discovered that, okay, we have a history of corruption that dates back to colonial days. So what did he do? Now, they had an anti-graft agency. What he did was to move it from where it was and domicile it elsewhere. I think it was an independent institution. He took that authority from them and kept it under the Ministry of Justice. When after a while, like 8 months, 1 year and some months, he discovered that it wasn't working. What he did was to bring that agency and put it under the office of the Prime Minister, where he had direct supervision. And within 6 years, Indonesia, their corruption perception index took a nosedive and a drop. Is it something that we can try here?
Now, wonderful question. Now, you ask yourself, what was the EFCC set up for? Who set it up? During his tenure, he was saying, I will send the EFCC after opposition elements. That was what Nuhu Ribadu was doing, basically. Then they will do some kind of skeletal work on 419 scammers, arrest them for the purpose of international publicity and accolades. But domestically, it was more of a Gestapo outfit channeled against opposition elements. And that is what has continued from the time of Nuhu Ribadu to the time of the lady Farida Waziri to the Lamrude, and the last two upstarts, including this current one, who are even legitimately in office because they don't qualify under the EFCC Act to be chairman of EFCC. So you see that EFCC from the onset was set up for non-altruistic purposes. And that's what it's been doing. I mean, so you don't expect much from it. You gave the example of Singapore, where there was a president who wanted to effect change. Will you say that of Obasanjo or Tinubu? Or will you be like Oshomole said, that once you come into the ruling party, all your sins are forgiven? So the fact is that the FCC from the onset was not set up for altruistic purposes. And if we had invested all that money spent in the FCC in the police, we will have a far better police force. Because all the men in the FCC, in fact, they're bribing the police to come over to the FCC. Because over there, you make bigger bucks. You make bigger money. Even the attorneys for the EFCC make bigger money. Because you prosecute 20 billion naira fraud. At the end of the day, you strike a deal with the defendant. Everybody goes home happy. Then the EFCC lawyers become a son. And they all lived happily ever after. And at the end of the day, Nigeria suffers. It sounds like a joke, but that is the sad spectacle of the EFCC. Then once in a while, they go to hotel rooms or schools and arrest young boys who are trying to collect $10, $20 from foreigners. Is that what you should be doing? When right in the presidency, the humongous graft going on, it's incredible, and it's allowed to fly.
But when we discuss these things from Monday to Friday,
Yes.
from the first of the month to the end
last
of the
of the
month,
year.
from
Yes.
year in, year out,
Yes.
do
Yeah.
we merely regurgitate? Are we making any impact?
But
Not
yeah.
just here, but I mean the media itself.
It's
the
for
civil
us to
society
say it,
organization.
and it's for the other people at the other end.
I understand, but are we making impact?
Do you know why you won't
What
you know
else
why you
can
won't
we
make
do?
impact? You see, Nigerians are very good followers. Let me give the example of the Buhari Diabo era. We didn't have saints as rulers, but there was the perception, mere perception, that those at the top were like trying to be upright. What happened? In bus stops in Ikorodu, Osogbo, people began to fall in queue because there was that perception. So for so long as there is the perception that the person at the helm of affairs, at the presidency, is corrupt, for so long will we be making noise talking about corruption. But once you begin to, and I'm talking of perception, I'm not saying that they were saints, but people perceive them to be saints. But when you see a president gallivanting, traveling all over the world, buying Escalade jeeps for himself, his wives, his children, traveling about in presidential fleets, come on. The whole idea is corruption is still in full swing. So as long as that is still the case, we can keep on talking from now to Jericho. What will happen will happen. But Nigerians should hope that let us have a leader that gives that perception. Nobody is a saint. There will be one or two flaws. Even for Diabo, there was one or two flaws of the currency bags that came in. But there was a general perception. That is what we lack in this country. That we don't have that perception that the people at the helm of affairs are good. For so long we will keep on having all these issues.
All right, then let's go to the punch. Let's take a few headlines here.
Okay, so the Rivers State political crisis is still taking the front burner. On the Punch, it says, Rivers crisis, Assembly shelves sitting amid rumored plot against the Speaker. And also in The Guardian, it says, Fubara's impeachment stalls as lawmakers fail to reconvene.
All right, there you have it. Chukuma, you want to go first?
Yes,
Go.
I want to go first. I like what is going on in River State because somehow it's been in the spotlight for a very long time. In fact, since Wike and Fubara started having their altercations, their issues and all of that. So we follow the conversation, state of emergency, back, forth, and then now the governor is back. Talking about his impeachment, I saw two people pull out of it. The first set of people.
Another two.
And another two. I want to talk about the second two. The second two, one, the minority leader of the State House of Assembly by the name Barile Nwako representing Kana. Kana is Ogoniland.
Yeah.
Then you have another one, somebody Amadi, that represents Obiakpo. Not just representing Obiakpo, she said, the FCT minister is my constituent.
Yes.
That's Obiakpo State constituency too. I represent him in the House of Assembly. So, but at the end of the day, they say, look, the woman that represents Wike said, look, before I came here, I asked Nyesom Wike, I had a discussion with him. He said, look, do whatever is in your mind, unconstrained, whatever. There were no prompts here and there, and which she did. So, but the first person, the minority leader, in the course of her intervention, she said, well, while calling on her members, to drop that gauntlet of trying to impeach the governor and embrace peace and all of that, she now said, okay, we thank the president, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for his fathering role he has played and all of that. And he said, we also thank the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, the political leader of Rivers State. That statement was very instructive. If you have somebody who is saying, look, don't impeach the governor, and you are giving recognition to somebody who people believe is the one orchestrating the impeachment, and you still recognize him as the political leader of Rivers State in the presence of the governor. What I mean presence of the governor is that when there is a governor in the state, that should be actually the political leader of the state. And I think there is...
I don't think there's anything to it. I think
you don't think there's anything
to her.
Chukuma.
To her, he's the political leader.
How far can...
No, okay, to her.
To her, yes.
Okay.
I don't think there's
So
anything
when
to
she
it.
says that, look, I'm not talking about the person that represents Wike. I'm talking about the minority
Absolutely,
leader
yes.
saying that, look, to you, the political leader of Rivers State, to me, that statement is quite.
It's just playing the balancing act.
Yes. The balancing act.
So
you think that a lot more people will not play that same act?
For the optics
I'm
now.
not saying that Wike is more powerful, but I'm just bringing out, something
You see, he needs to say that in case it backfires, and he can always retort to say, look, even in the midst of all this, I still recognize you as
so don't you think that statement would have, or should be offensive to the governor?
To the governor.
I don't think the governor cares much about that.
You think the governor?
Which one is way there? Chukuma, which one is way there?
We are not impeaching you.
Say we know they impeach again, and agreeing that man is the political leader. Which one comes first?
What you have just said is that I will take what the leader tells me. So if the leader asks me not to back out, even when I'm saying I'm backing out, I will obey the leader. To me, that's the interpretation.
He must have consulted, just like that woman consulted the Wiki, and he said, go and do whatever you want to do.
Well, I think that for me, the sad aspect of it is all this political jostling. The people.
It's not for the people of Rivers.
Rivers that have Warsaw.
Yes.
I was in Port Harcourt during the Christmas breaks. I mean, the source from the gas flares is even choking up some areas. The level of infrastructure and degradation you see is not commensurate with what the state should have. And every day we have these characters coming up to talk a lot of nonsense, burn down the State House of Assembly, impeach today, outpeach tomorrow, and all that stuff. I mean, it's ridiculous. But Rivers State is a mirror of the Nigerian political environment. I mean, it shows manipulation, it shows the dagger-drawn approach at politics, and it shows zero impact on the people. And that is what should worry us. And it's going to be a continuum. It's going to continue. I don't know what, I mean, in this dispensation, with the current kind of situation whereby Mr. President is the one that tells what happens in that state, because he's looking forward to having the state's enormous cash pot at his behest during the elections. I mean, is that what governance is all about? It's so sad. And the issue of Rivers State, I don't think that we keep on discussing it. The world is even saying this. The world knows. And you are talking that the foreign America should not keep on downgrading us or talking down on us, or that the other parts of the world should not look down on us. And when they see what's going on in Rivers State, they do. They're not blind. In this internet age, what happens here happens all over the world. I mean, it's seen all over the world. So when they keep on looking at these things, they pity Nigerians. And then they look at any Nigerian who comes into the country as a straggler who wants to see what they can milk out. And until we begin to work on that perception, until we begin to change the reality that is in Rivers State, because it's now a microcosm of what goes on in Nigeria, we'll keep on having this mess.
All right, another headline from Business This Day, actually. I'll take a few headlines from Business Day. Edrum. FG achieved 85% capital expenditure execution in 2024, pushes global competitiveness. IMF warns against policy reversal, urges Nigeria to stay the course on reforms. Inflation eases to 15.15%. Yeah. Who wants to go first? Mr. Fanimo, you want to go first?
You see, I'm tired of all these statistics. I'm tired of all of them. Because for me, what are the indices that points to the fact that inflation has eased to 15? So are we saying that before December it will come to one single digit, even when things are not normal economically in this country?
Isn't that what we wanted to come down?
I'm really fed up with these statistics that come all the time. You see, the point is we can't continue to hold on to the macro level of the economy.
The role of
IMF is warning against policy reversal and urging Nigeria to stay the course on reforms.
Look, I think
some of these reforms are biting hard on
I think the primary assignment of World Bank and IMF in the last 2 years is Nigeria. IMF will say one thing today.
World Bank will say
another thing. World Bank will say economy is growing. IMF will come a week later to say the economic outlook is a danger to embrace. So I'm wary of believing all those things that come out from all these Bretton Woods institutions because they never meant well for us.
Well, we never meant well for ourselves.
I came into Dele's views.
No, we never meant well for ourselves.
No, these characters are just like they juggle statistics. I mean, it's like a crime syndicate. The IMF and the World Bank. And the kind of advices they give are things that if you accept it, you're dead.
That's the point.
And then, like the loans they dish out, they give fraudulent loans. In fact, I wrote an article once that when you are giving loans to somebody who is not paying back, will you keep on giving the loan? Unless you're also part of the scam. So the reality is that the IMF and the World Bank are institutions that are set up to pauperize emerging countries. They will bring out all this GDP, SDP, all that stuff, which needs
but
that's the reality.
When you say that they don't mean well for us, I also think that we don't mean well for ourselves. Moses, I'd like you to take that headline again. There's something I want to point out. The Edu something.
Okay, FG achieved 85% capital expenditure execution in 2024.
Capital expenditure execution. Is it the World Bank telling us this? We are the one telling ourselves. But you and I know that it is not true.
No, I mean
85%. So what are the capital projects that we've executed? And we also hear that the budget, in terms of performance for 2025, we didn't even do up to 37%. So how come in this sector we achieved 85%?
Look,
in which sector?
Cardoso, they want to be invited to the next World Bank meeting in Washington, D.C. And the roll carpet rolled out.
So now that tells you that we didn't do well for ourselves.
These are not leaders, these are rulers.
Okay, these are rulers, not leaders.
Not leaders. So they can do whatever they want.
Again, Barrister Eze, when we say that World Bank or Bretton Woods institutions, you know, where we know how they came about after the Second World War and all of that. And they've been the lenders, you know, global lenders. Africa is not the only continent they lend money to. They lent money to Japan. They lent money to Asia.
No. The conditions they lend to Africa is different from what they lend to the rest of the world. And then they place.
Why did you accept those money?
The thing is this: the people that don't say why did we? We didn't accept it.
No, we did.
But it's not even the loan.
We did because the ones with the actual gold.
It is not the loan. Japanese utilize the loan for the survival of their country. But what we do is we repatriate 70% of this loan back to their
So we don't blame World Bank and IMF. We should blame ourselves.
No, what I'm saying, why you should blame them is this. You know the person you gave this loan, you gave somebody a loan of $10 million. The next day he's coming to buy 3 houses in the US worth $6 million. And you're still giving him more.
He's doing business.
He's doing business.
Good business for America.
So the reality is
banks. Let me tell you, bank. If you collect 20 million naira from a bank and you collateralize it with a building in Victoria Land that is worth about 40 million naira, now if you blow the 20 million naira and you go to a bank,
they'll give you again.
And they know that you have another collateral worth 60 million, they will simply give you.
Then that's not a bank. That's a scam outfit.
That is banking.
It's a scam outfit. You know, you are not giving for the purpose it was given, and you're still giving. They are a scam outfit.
So long as you collateralize, because we are giving them oil in exchange for the loans.
No,
honestly, see.
Please don't use the word we. Don't use the word we.
No, we are Nigerians now.
No, the government is the one giving us.
You see, the issue of Bretton Woods and IMF. You know, when we talk about this, when we were in school, you know, these are formulas that Marxist scholars, communist scholars used to explain away the inefficiency of our leaders. But we have known that in other parts of the world, I keep going back to Asia, the models work for them because they apply them through painstaking efforts, which we didn't have here, which we lack. So the problem is
you're going deeper. Let me answer the question now.
Okay.
The first leaders or rulers who will cater to their desires on the system. So that is where even the issues start. They know the leaders who will actually change systems, but they make sure that those leaders never smell power.
Kenya West said that slavery was by choice, and I believe him.
Who didn't know that this is what it was clear that Bola Tinubu would do what he's doing. That's why the system, before he even was declared winner, the British High Commission said we should be proud of the elections that elected him. Before he was even declared winner, the then U.S. House Secretary of State was talking crap. I mean, the Biden Secretary of State was saying that he has already recognized the system because they know that this was the fellow who was going to do their bidding. And the one that felt he could get Nigeria out of the mess said, no, we don't need this kind of person in office. So we have to stop. That's why I say stop saying we and refer to them as rulers. Because it's not us.
Okay. Thank you very much, Barrister Eze Luche, for your contribution. Dele Fanimo, thank you as well. Chikimoroko doubles as an analyst and a presenter on this show. And of course, Jane Ogoye. Well, I am Moses Humphrey, wishing you a beautiful day. Stick around, 6 p.m. Well, sports comes up next with Hafiz. And then much later in the day, 6 p.m., Chikuma will be back here on Political Lens. Well, that's it on the show. Newspaper Review makes a return tomorrow. Yes. Bye for now.
On Monday?
Yeah, well, it makes a return tomorrow, but we'll be back on Monday. Okay. Bye for now.
In a world where power shifts with every headline.
In a nation full of questions.
In a world filled with noise, the truth needs a voice.
The policies that shapes our world and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing.
And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world because your voice is our focus.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
This is Health Check, your weekly guide to better living, smarter choices, and trusted answers. From everyday wellness to urgent health issues, we've got you covered. Health Check, only on Voice of the People